As of this morning, President Trump's tariff overhaul now extending to millions of packages coming into the United States every day.
So what's happening here is the Trump administration is ending what's known as the de minimis exemption at midnight. Maybe you've never heard of this, but it has probably impacted you because we all pretty much shop online, right? So this exemption meant that goods under $800 weren't taxed, no duties attached to them. Well, those added tariff fees now are taking effect in dozens of countries. So some are suspending shipments to the U.S. News Nation's Marcus Espinoza has the latest from New York City. Marcus, this is a big change. What does it mean moving forward for all of us who usually order something not just online, but from overseas?
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, we're all learning a little bit of Latin this week and this morning, right? That de minimis exemption is no longer in place here for the most part. I'll go over specifics here, but basically, if you order from places like Etsy behind me here or Temu, you know how you get a spatula for like 30 cents, that's because it's been able to be shipped directly to you without being affected with any sort of tariffs. That is now no longer the case here. So there's going to be a lot of change that could affect wallets here, but the government says they're doing this for safety reasons as well. So in July, President Trump signed an executive order suspending de minimis for all countries. The exception allowed imported goods up to $800, originally started at $200. This whole thing actually was implemented in 1938. So up to $800 of value was not to be taxed or have a tariff, but that is no longer the case as of this morning. According to Customs and Border Protection, over 1 billion packages entered the U.S. last year without being taxed. Now, depending on the originating country, tariffs can be charged, and some fear that makes items more expensive for consumers. That's very likely. In fact, online global retailer Etsy putting this advice on their website for sellers, saying in part, as you communicate with your buyers about their orders, keep in mind that some buyers may not have paid tariffs before. We recommend being transparent with your buyers if you believe a potential sale may be subject to tariffs or if your costs have been changed to reflect the cost of those tariffs there. So postal services in about 30 countries have suspended shipments to the United States because of this. So they're trying to figure that out right now. But for some context, back in 2023, about 8% of de minimis shipments were from government postal services there. So not a huge portion there. It's really the private companies as well that are trying to figure out how to navigate this, like DHL and places like that.
Marcus, not everyone is wary of the change. How are economists and researchers reacting to all of this?
Yeah, not just them as well, but folks concerned about safety that apparently through this exemption, a lot of bad actors have shipped in drugs like fentanyl and other things that could harm people. And then on the economic side of this as well, folks think it could be a boon for U.S. businesses, that it could change U.S. consumer behavior and encourage folks to buy more domestically here. But that's not really all. The Consumer Federation of America told me originally the purpose of de minimis was for things like souvenirs when people travel, but it shifted over the years. Those who opposed de minimis said it not only hurt U.S. companies, but allowed, again, possibly unsafe items to enter America. On their website, CPP said this about de minimis shipments. Bad actors are exploiting this explosion in volume to traffic counterfeits, dangerous narcotics, and other illicit goods, including precursor chemicals and materials such as pill presses and dye molds used to manufacture fentanyl, as well as other synthetic drugs that are killing Americans.
It's supposed to streamline the customs process, but the reality is the de minimis exemption has allowed a lot of low value product to get in that's either unsafe or non-compliant. There is some chaos involved here, as folks may have seen. Certain countries' postal services are announcing that they're disrupting service to the United States. So we may see a little bit of chaos in the short term.
Yeah, it's going to be an adjustment period for everybody here. This loophole, as some people are calling it, has really exploded. Back in the 2014-2015 time period there were a couple 100 million packages coming in through this. Now it's well over 1 billion. So a lot of companies use this particular exemption to be able to ship things to consumers, direct to consumers. That's how you got things so cheap through Temu and Etsy and other online shops now. But speaking of places coming from companies like Temu in China. That actually ended on May 2nd, this exemption. So they've already adjusted to that there, but the rest of the world now feeling this as well. So those things you order for cheap may not be as cheap now.
All right, Marcus, thank you so much. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Marcus.
it.